Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. We're back with the Necron Codex again, this time taking a look at the Canoptek DOOMSTALKER. So now I've left this one until the more later reviews to allow plenty of time to get using it, as it's still a fairly new model. It was only released in the summer this year, just before the Codex actually came out. So it's a heavy support option within the book, which as you know already is quite a competitive area of the book. In particular, it competes for its spot against the Doomsday Ark, and I think the debate will still continue for quite a long time of which is the better option. So it will set you back 7 power level or 140 points for the model, which as you're probably aware is 50 points cheaper than the Doomsday Ark. Now I'll go into a bit more detail later in the video in regards to comparing it to the Ark. So looking into its keywords for the Doomstalker, it can go into any dynasty. It's got the Canoptek keyword and it is a monster. It's not a vehicle, it's a monster. So being Canoptek will synergize quite nicely with certain characters and other buffs within the Codex. So his stat line is movement 10 inch, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 6, toughness 6, wounds 12, attacks 3, leadership 10 and a 3+ save. So of course being Canoptek, it gives it a weapon skill and ballistic skill of a 4+. Once damaged, the Doomstalker will get bracketed when it's below 6 wounds and its movement drops down 2 inches, along with its weapon skill going to a 5+ and the attacks drop into 2. But more importantly, the ballistic skill does remain the same at ballistic skill 4. Moving into the abilities, living metal, regaining a lost wound at the start of the turn, we all know what that one is by now. Command protocols, getting a buff each battle round when they're within 6 inches of a character and you've got a noble on the table. These are of course predetermined before the game begins. It's got a containment field, which is a 4+ in 1 save, which is pretty sweet on a 12 wound model. It explodes on a 5+ rather than a 6+ when destroyed, and all units within 6 inches will suffer D3 mortal wounds. So it's got a little bit of a better chance of exploding due to that 5+. Then finally it has Sentinel Construct, which is when an enemy unit declares a charge against a unit that is within 6 inches of your Doomstalker. Unless your Doomstalker is in engagement range, you can fire Overwatch at that charging unit. This is in addition to any other units firing Overwatch. So this is a free Overwatch, it does not cost CP to do the Overwatch. Not only that, but it can be used multiple times in the same phase, as you're not using the Overwatch stratagem itself, which is what ultimately limits you from doing it over and over. So that's the abilities. Moving into the weapons next, and it comes with a Doomsday Blaster and a Twin Gorse Flayer. So let's start with that Twin Gorse Flayer just to get that out of the way. 24 inch rapid fire 2, strength 4, -1 AP and 1 damage. So a basic Necron weapon here, shooting 4 times at rapid fire range. Not bad for removing a wound or 2 on a unit. Now the weapon you've come to see really is the Doomsday Blaster. It comes in 2 profiles, so you select the profile before making the attack. You've got the low powered variant, which is a 24 inch range, heavy D6, strength 8, -2 AP and damage D3 with the blast keyword. So ideally you don't want to be firing this mode because there is the high powered mode, which I'll go over in a moment. It's still pretty good at strength 8 and has a fairly good amount of damage, although it's only a 24 inch range. The ballistic skill being 4 however will also mean that you're going to miss half of your shots on average, so you need to hope that you roll a good amount of hits. Blast word will aid you if you're firing at larger units. So you get to use the high powered version if you remain stationary during your movement phase. So it's a 48 inch range, heavy D6, strength 10, -5 AP and the damage is D6. This is the weapon profile you need to be using while your Doomstalker's alive. It's got the range to fire at almost anything. It's got the strength to deal with pretty much any unit on the game. -5 AP leaves in 1 saves only, and the D6 damage a pop is good, although it is a tad unreliable because it's D6. I would like to have seen this synced up a bit more with other codexes. They seem to be getting their D3+3 weapons now instead of a D6, but it is what it is. And like with the low powered variant, you need to ensure that you get a good amount of shots off, as you're going to be missing half of them on average with ballistic skill 4. So save your command rerolls for either the number of hits or the damage, and it will do fairly well. So as always, we'll move into the dynasty codes next, which will best suit the unit. So for the Doomstalker, the Mefrit code adds 3 inches to your ranged attacks, which will come in handy for the low powered variant, but as I said, you want to be using the high powered option. The code also adds a -1 AP modifier for your shooting if you're shooting at half range or less. So again, that low powered blaster will go to a -3 AP, that will benefit. And even your Twin Gorse Flayers will also benefit, going to a -2 AP. It's not going to really have any effect on your high powered version because it's already -5 AP. Their Stratagem, Talent for Annihilation for 1 CP, makes any wound rolls of a 6 inflict a mortal wound on top of the damage to a max of 3 per phase. Not that bad, although I'd probably not use it with this unit. The Nihilak code gives your objective secured, which is pretty good, especially if you can start the model on an objective. Having 12 wounds with a 4+ in 1 save, it's going to stick around for quite a while. The Saltec code grants you rapid firing weapons to double tap at 18 inches instead of 12 inch. It's sort of okay. It depends on how much other rapid fire weapons you've got within your list. If you've got a lot of warriors, then it will help, obviously. Their stratagem is quite useful though, especially for the Doomstalker. So for 2 CP, Methodical Destruction, you can shoot a unit with a different friendly Sautek unit first. This effectively tags the unit, then select the Doomstalker to fire at that same unit and it will have a +1 to hit. So you'll now be firing all of your weaponry at a 3+. So it's a really powerful stratagem, that one. And as I always say, pair it with the Tryout Stalker, and if you use the other Sautek unit and the Tryout Stalker, you'll be hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. As far as custom dynasties are concerned, Eternal Conquerors for the objective secured again, Superior Artisans to reroll a single wound roll, Masters of the Martial is the final one out of that list for a single reroll to hit per phase. Then from the Circumstances of Awakening list, you've got the Ancient Stir, which will affect your Doomstalker as it's a Canoptek unit, giving it a little bit of a better movement. But as previously mentioned, you want to be staying as stationary as possible. Healthy Paranoia to add that 3-inch range. Then Relentlessly Expansionist, which is probably the best one out of the list here. You can move your Doomstalker 6 inches after deployment but before turn 1, so it can get a better line of sight, or maybe move it onto an objective before turn 1, and it doesn't count as movement when you're doing so. Interplanetary Invaders is the final one of note, which allows you to fire heavy weapons within combat at a -1 to hit modifier. Now this one won't be so useful because you can't fire blast weapons into combat. However, it does allow you to also fall back and shoot at a -1 to hit, but then you're hitting on 5s without any buff, so it's not that great, that one, if I'm honest, unless you can buff the unit. As for stratagems, there's a couple here to look at. Techno-Oracular Targeting for 1 CP allows a single wound roll to be auto-wounded, done in the shooting phase. I mean, it takes away a small amount of chance of failing a single wound roll, sometimes worth it, most of the time not so much. But the better option here is Revenge of the Doomstalker. It's 2 command points, done in any phase that a friendly character has been destroyed. Now at the end of the phase, you can shoot with your Doomstalker at the enemy unit that destroyed your character. And then not only that, from that point onwards, your Doomstalker has a +1 to hit modifier against that unit. So not bad getting to shoot your big guns in your opponent's turn and at a +1 to hit as well. So moving into the best unit to accompany your Canoptek Doomstalker, I mean, you've got the Technomancer, that's the one really to go here, that's the gem. You give your Technomancer the Canoptek Control Node, which gives any Canoptek units within range a +1 to hit, bringing your weapon skill and ballistic skill of your Doomstalker to a 3, which is much more reliable, especially for your shooting. You could instead give the Technomancer his Canoptek Cloak to heal D3 wounds per turn for your Doomstalker, but I personally would want that +1 to hit. You could take 2 Technomancers, I guess, one doing each roll. That's a lot of points sunk into your Doomstalker though. Also worth a side note here that the Technomancer works well with other Canoptek units, such as your Canoptek Spiders. You can take an Arcana such as the Failsafe Overcharger to buff them, also while buffing your Doomstalker with the control node, so it synergizes quite well being a multifunctional Technomancer. So we're at the part of the video now where we need to address the comparison with the Doomstalker and the Doomsday Arc. So before we do, if you haven't yet already, please hit that subscribe button below. We're slowly building up the community here at Planet 40k, so we need more eyes on the videos. We do bring out regular Necron content, so if you don't want to miss out on the latest Necron reviews and tactic videos, then hit that subscribe button below. Because even when we're finished doing all the reviews, we're going to go into tactics and whatnot. We're not leaving the Necrons behind. So the comparison with the Doomstalker and the Doomsday Arc. Both are very good options within the heavy support section of the book. Just to outline some of the pros and cons between both units then. So the points that favour the Doomstalker, they're always going to be ballistic skill 4 even when damaged and bracketed, whereas the Doomsday Arc will lose ballistic skill once damaged. The Technomancer synergy boosting the ballistic skill for the Doomstalker is pretty good as well because of the Canoptek keyword. It's obviously cheaper at being at 140 points compared to 190. So if you bought 3 Doomstalkers, that's 420 points, which is only 40 points more than having just 2 arcs. The Stalker also has a 4+ in1 save, whereas the Arc actually has a 5+ in1 save. The last point for the Doomstalker is the fact that it's got the Sentinel construct, where it's able to overwatch for free when units within 6 inches are charged, and it's also got that Revenge of the Doomstalker stratagem as well. Now points in favour of the Doomsday Arc, it starts at ballistic skill 3, it's got quantum shielding so it can't be wounded on a 1, 2 or a 3. It's got 14 wounds compared to the Stalker's 12. It moves slightly quicker, although that's not that important. You want to be stationary on both of these units. And the main gun range is 72-inch range instead of 48. And it's got the 10 Gauss flares at rapid fire, so potential of 20 shots versus the potential of just 4 with the Doomstalker. Then finally the vehicle stratagems and vehicle repair from the Spider can work with the Doomsday Arc. So there's major points for both. When I did the Doomsday Arc video I was more sided towards the Arc, but now I've edged a little bit more towards the Stalker, although both are almost equal to me. Yes, one's 50 points more, but you get 50 points more worth of Gauss fire. Now you could just get the Doomstalker and an extra 5 warriors, totaling 205 points, which is 15 points more than the Ark. Then there's only a max potential of 14 Ghostfire shots. When you add the warrior Ghost weapons and the Doomstalker Ghost weapons together, that's 6 Ghostfire shots short. On the other hand, I really do love the Canoptek spiders this edition, and the combo with that Technomancer holding both the control node for 15 points and the failsafe overcharger for 30 points. You could even whack a relic on top for good measure, so it makes the Canoptek units around him really beefed up. So that's sort of where I lay at the moment. I prefer the Canoptek things. As for the rating, I need to stay on par and give the Canoptek Doomstalker a Planet 40k rating of 4 out of 5. Now I could stretch this to a 4.5, but I think I need to keep continuity with the other reviews here. So that's my thoughts on the matter. Let me know yours below in the comments. Also remember to subscribe. We'll be continuing on with these Necron reviews. I think I'll be doing one of the named characters next, so we need to get some of those guys done so we can get a Necron tier list up. If you've yet to see any of our tier lists, we do have a playlist which I'll put in the top corner for you to check out. So we've been doing a tier list for each battlefield role within the book. So far we've done the fast attack, the heavy support and the elite. So check those out if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.